High school was awesome.
What we had was special.
Then we graduated and started getting jobs and getting married and having kids and all that other stupid stuff.
None of our lives are perfect, but no matter what we're going through, we'll always be there for each other.
American Reunion. It's been 13 years since the first movie. I don't give a fuck what they do now. I still don't care what they're doing.
That pie don't give a shit. That pie left town.
I love how it's like, hey, it's the reunion that you've always wanted. I'm like, no, we didn't.
No, it's not.
Nobody's been asking for this. Nobody's been curious about what these guys have been up to.
I mean, in terms of like just taking the success of a film and just stretching it to the point where it couldn't be any more thin, the American Pie people win hands down.
That's true.
They really do. I mean, I would have been interested if they had made the first movie and then 20 years later came back with Jason Biggs being the dad and his son is like going through all this. That might have been a cute thing to do. But come on, man. We can only see him mug at the camera and go, let me just explain so many times where you want to take your own life.
I figured it should have been called American Recovery because, you could see all these actors, they really haven't done shit.
I know.
In the longest time. And I'm like, wow, you guys, whoever, dreamt this up to get you guys back on the big screen. I mean, you owe them a big applause.
Boy,
a big thank you.
Let me tell you something. When Eugene Levy is getting more work than you are, something's wrong. It might be time to hang it up.
But hey, I can at least say that motherfucker has talent, all right?
He does. I mean, he's a veteran.
He really is.
He's like one of the saving graces of the movie at a point where it's just like, well, this shit is over. And somehow he comes in and goes, he like makes you go like, all right, you got something, kid.
Yeah, there's something
the
about,
rest of these bums, forget about it.
There's something about him and his charming as hell caterpillar eyebrows that just, make you smile when you see him on screen.
With the guy who came out of this whole thing with this enormous cast of young actors, and like usually the sort of thing there'll be 2, maybe 3 who go on to successful careers, and it's the MILF guy
John
who
Cho.
was the breakout star.
Yeah, he's slumming. It's like he showed up just to do them a favor.
I'm telling you, there's 3 people who are just constantly working this movie: Eugene Levy, John Cho, and Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids all look at this and be like, fuck, man, why are we still acting?
Well, and you have to also look at the fact that Jason Biggs and Sean William Scott were 2 of the executive producers on it to show like how much they had going on.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's like, shit, this movie probably happened because the 2 of them were like, man, I got a mortgage to pay. What we gonna do?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how the fuck are they producing shit?
It was funny because there was one point when one of the characters comes in. I'm not going to say who because I'm not going to spoil it for you, but one of the characters comes in and says, guys, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been working as an assistant manager at Staples all this time. I'm like, yeah, you really have. I mean, that's not part of the story. That's what you're doing in real life.
That's the one believable part about the movie. Yeah.
You're not supposed to. You don't improv these. Don't go with your real life. Just read what it says in the script.
That would have made a more interesting movie. Just like the real life of what these guys have been fucking up to. It's like we don't. Yeah. This is it. This is about as reality as you'll
like
get.
Like American Pie's new nightmare. Is that what you're talking about? It's just all meta.
That's more. That's far more.
Going,
that would be far more interesting than what this movie honestly.
Allison
is.
Hannigan going, look, I'm sorry for all you guys' careers, but I'm fine until this motherfucker meets his wife. We're gonna put that off for as long as possible.
I was wanting to hear like Terry's explanation, like what the fuck happened to her when her like titties falling out in public all the time.
Just like a reality show. They should have told them that they're filming an American Pie movie, but actually just film them like a reality show and not tell them.
Exactly.
It's like there's some people who were in the cast I didn't even know existed until I saw them again. like the Jewish guy with the beard.
Oh,
Jewish guy with the beard.
Which Jewish guy
you're talking about the
Jason Biggs?
No.
Jason Biggs didn't have a beard.
The smaller looking guy.
There was only one fucking guy with a beard in this movie.
Where he needed that. He needed that fucking beard because all I thought was like, if that motherfucker shaved that shit off, he'd still look like he's 12 years old.
Yeah, he would. He would.
Is he Jewish? He looks Arab.
I don't know what the fuck
he is.
Man, I haven't seen him for fucking 13 years.
Well, he hasn't been doing it.
Exactly. So you ask me, what's he doing? I don't know.
I was like, is he a Kenny Loggins fan with that Kenny Loggins beard?
Wait for the next American Pie fucking movie. Is what he's doing.
He's the other guy. He's the guy of the main cast that nobody really gets.
You're right. He has the weakest subplot. No, they don't focus on him. He's got nothing really to stand out. And we talk about how these other guys have done nothing. Okay, they've done a little something. He's done nothing.
Yeah.
When Tara Reid tells you, I got to move on to bigger things. Wow.
Yeah, where I was like scratching my head, I was like, those two got together in one of those movies, really?
Okay, it's like what's the plot? Jason Biggs is trying to fuck his
you
wife. Sean William Scott is trying to fuck somebody.
Well, I mean, the plot. You mean one of the 18 subplots that are running at all times?
Well, every plot has something to do with nothing. Like I said, Jason Biggs trying to fuck his wife. The babysitter's trying to fuck Jason Biggs.
Not the babysitter. The girl he used to babysit.
I'm sorry, the girl he used to babysit is trying to fuck Jason Biggs. Chris Klein is his wife is or his girlfriend is trying to fuck him. Sean William Scott is he's Stifler. He's looking for anything to fuck at any time. I mean it's nothing going on in this movie. I mean, you ask what these people are up to 13 years later. They still talking about dicks and vaginas and knocking over shit and fucking inanimate objects. And
Well, the thing is, it's another American Pie film.
Yeah.
It's not really any worse than any of the other ones. It's just another American Pie film with everything that comes along with that, with absolutely everything you expect in that formula, with all the characters behaving like they always have. I mean, there's a point where they all yell at Stifler because, like, man, you haven't changed at all since high school. And I was thinking, not a single one of you has changed.
no one.
Yeah, somebody hold up a mirror.
Let's see. Oh, you gotten fat. You grew a beard. Your head's gotten bigger. I mean, Chris Klein, actually, if you want to talk about anybody that's just gone on to look better, he's the one that's probably got the most movie star looks out of all of them because I don't know what happened to that guy. We talk about how Chris Klein was, at one time, he went through some sort of substance abuse because he was the last time we saw, at least the last time I remember him, was in that Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li movie, and you could tell he was all coked up on set, and he was like, he walked on every scene like, I'm ready to read my lines, I'm gonna kick somebody's ass. I was like, what's wrong with this guy,
When
man?
I saw that, all I thought was like, okay, when is he going to be on the next season of Celebrity Rehab? You know, because he looked like he was coked up like a motherfucker on that.
I'm just glad
show.
he wasn't coked
and, you know,
up.
and there were actually moments like when you get introduced to him in this, I was like, oh wow, are we gonna get to see the coked up Chris Klein guy?
I know, I was momentarily excited. It's like, oh, he's going to totally embarrass himself. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, again.
But then they have him play nice guy.
Yeah, he somehow became so subdued in this movie where I'm like, wow, okay, hey, he's actually acting, I guess.
Well, it was bizarre because it starts off with him all like, whoa, he's so intense. And then for no reason at all, the story just has him turn into old-fashioned, original American Pie, soft-spoken, sweet guy Chris Klein.
Well, it does seem like somebody came in and said, like, I appreciate how funny that is, but that's not the way this character is written, and he's not being true to himself.
Yeah.
When he's on Wilfred, he's able to do a better job of acting. I mean, I know we've seen him in stuff like fucking Rollerball, where it's like, wow, this dude's got nothing. But I don't know.
I'm sorry, I have blacked that out of my
Right. But I see him in Wilfred, and I see him in this. I'm like, you know what? He actually does have a little something.
What the hell is Wilfred?
Oh, it's a show that comes on FX with Elijah Wood.
I didn't even realize he was on.
he's on there?
Oh, is that the movie?
He came in halfway through the
It's
season.
where Elijah Wood talks to a dog.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he's actually suicidal and he's delusional. But forget about Wilfred. The thing is, like Chris Klein, he has his moment where they do like he's a sportscaster, sort of like an ESPN guy who did Dancing with the Stars at one point, and they play his Dancing with the Stars tape, or I guess you dance by yourself, where he has to act out. And I was like, you know what? That's actually entertaining. He's doing something here that's outside of everything else and getting the stretch. But for the most part, he's just kind of like, I don't know, moseying through like everybody else. Because the movie is all focused on Stifler and Jason Biggs throughout the thing.
Which it should be, because, I mean, well, at least with Stifler, because I was like, wow, you know, this seems like a pretty goddamn tame American Pie movie. Because I'm like, wow, these guys really are old. It's like somebody filmed a movie around these characters who have grown up. They're probably like in their, 30s or so?
31.
They're about, 31.
Is that all?
Yeah, because I think...
At least in movie terms.
In movie terms,
Yeah, because they you got, you know, let's do some American Pie math right here. You know, I'm not
Oh,
good.
God.
I'm not good with numbers, but throughout the movie they
Do our
keep
gazetas.
well throughout the movie they keep telling you that
You have to
they're going
multiply.
back to celebrate the class of 1999.
Right.
So I mean, they must be at least. At the most 31. But it's cool. I mean, look, it's
You have to multiply the first movie by 3.14.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
appropriate
I mean,
number.
if you've lived through 3 American Pie movies, you're gonna look older too. And some of these people ain't work, so they probably had some hard times.
Well, you know, it's funny because we were saying how, you know, it's been 13 years later and they haven't changed. They act the same way they did, but time has moved on. and they are older. And when you're watching teenagers go through this shit, there's a part of you that goes like, all right, they're a bunch of horny teenagers. That's what they do. But now that they're grown ass men, it's like, this is ridiculous, y'all. This is not fun to watch.
Yeah.
And we're older too. We're like, yeah, I don't laugh at the same shit I used to.
And that same, like, if someone would just communicate, even on the most base human level, that none of the shit would be a problem at all.
Oh, especially Jason Biggs.
Yeah, well, who once again he is the weakest part of this film by a significant margin, I feel. When the movie spends so much time focusing on him, and he can only do that one thing. That's all he's got in his whole arsenal. That mugging, confused, I'm horny, but I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble.
He really needed a pie to fuck in the movie because he was just really uninteresting. Even when they tried to drive this whole subplot, well, this one of the subplots, as far as like, his baby, well, the girl he used to babysit, now that she's like 18, it's like she has the hots for him, and they tried to like drive that where I'm like, the only good thing about that subplot was seeing that 18-year-old chick get naked.
Yeah, she was hot.
Her fucking body was incredible, but what the goofy scenario that they were trying to come up with, which we all saw coming. I mean, the thing is, it was paint by numbers because it was so goddamn predictable, and they just didn't really do anything at all with it.
And there was a way to do it and make it interesting, but it's not interesting when you have him creating a problem but not doing the most logical thing that anybody
exactly
would do. It pops you right out of it. You're like, dude, there's 18 million ways to solve this different than what you're doing.
And that's the problem with the movie because so many characters do so many stupid moves, and even the point where it's like the movie has to force these conflicts where somebody's going to get together. Obviously, somebody's going to get together with their old fling, and then who comes moseying around? Oh, it's the wife. Oh fuck. Oh, how are we gonna resolve this? Well, we're gonna resolve it at the end of the fucking movie like we always do.
It's sad that everything else is so weak that the Stifler bits are actually the funniest,
right?
Because they're not really funny at all. But it's like at least they're better than everything else.
It's like there's the guy I remember.
It's got the prerequisite gross outs, like except two of them this time. And admittedly, there was one thing I thought was kind of funny, like that ties up a running thread throughout since the first movie that involves him. That I was like, okay, that was a cute thing to do. But not that I would say, yeah, you got to see this because now your final questions will be answered.
No, it's sad that they dropped the ball on these characters, having the potential to do more. I like the first American Pie movie. I don't love it. I don't even think it's that good. I just like it. I remember everybody was going crazy. That kid fucked a pie. So what? I fucked plenty of pies. Nobody make a movie about me.
You did, because I don't even understand the science of fucking a pie.
Well, the only thing I understood, the only thing I couldn't understand is when I tried to stick my dick in the pie, it wouldn't go deep. I mean, I don't know how he was actually making penetration. But I'm like, big deal. That's okay. I guess that was something that was kind of new back then, and everybody was kind of shocked. It was the equivalent of the sperm and the hair scene.
Sure.
Something about Mary. So, okay, whatever.
Awkward laughter.
But I hated every movie that came after that. Never saw it in the DVD movies, the straight to DVD films. But
I would like to say that neither have I.
Yeah, the American Pie 2 and American Wedding I despise. But this, I'm saying, okay, well, they can leave all that behind. These characters have grown. Jason Biggs' character, Jim, has a wife and a kid. Got another guy who's a house husband. His wife is making him watch girly shows with him. You have another guy who's traveled around the world. Got another guy who's apparently, he's got a good job because he's on television as a sports anchor. And I'm thinking, okay, I want these characters to be who I remember them at one point, but I also want to see how they've grown. And they get together, and everything that they've accomplished in life, you would never imagine it because it's still fucking retarded.
It's the exact same crises that they go through in the other movies, really, just moved up with slightly different people involved. And you're like, yeah, you're just still teenagers.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking Jason Biggs is so wishy-washy, he should be a janitor somewhere. Stifler is at a workplace grabbing women on the ass. He should be in jail. This other guy, well, he shouldn't even be in the movie because he's uninteresting. Chris Klein, I mean...
You're talking about Finch?
No, not Finch.
The guy with the beard.
The little one, the one we could never remember because he doesn't do anything.
Beardy guy.
All I could think about whenever...
Thomas Ian Nicholas. Let me just go ahead and get his name right.
Well, for the Finch character, all I could think about him was like, wow, this motherfucker sounds just like Nicolas Cage. I mean, I could close my eyes right now.
There were points we
and I was like, please turn into Ghost Rider or something because make this fun.
The moment I liked the movie, I found out because, man, this is one of those movies where it really tested my whole new vow to never walk out of a movie again.
I could tell, man. You were fidgeting.
I was there biting. Look at this. I got blood on my hand while I was biting my wrist the whole time.
I was trying to wonder why. I was like, were you laughing out of like sheer madness?
Yes,
I heard
was
you.
losing.
I heard you laugh quite a bit. In this movie.
No, because I hated this movie in the beginning. I despised it, and then I felt like I was justified for that whole thing of saying I should never walk out of a movie because I didn't like the second half, but I did laugh at certain parts more than I thought I would. Whenever Sean William Scott as Stifler came in, I thought that was funny, and then Eugene Levy, they gave him more to do than they ever have in any movie. And I like Eugene Levy. That guy, you're right. That guy's a seasoned comedian. Maybe I just love him because I'm so used to seeing him. I love SCTV, but he was making me laugh.
What it was is that, in the second, because the first half was just fucking awful. It was just like no laughs at all. In the second half, where they do give Eugene Levy more to do, it's just not just that he's seasoned, but he's able to have like some subtlety to his performance and put little bits in that weren't in the script. And he's just acting like a real person. I was like, he's kind of reminding me of my dad, and he's actually genuinely being funny.
He's a good ad-libber.
Yeah, he is. And the Stifler bits, I'm right there with you, Cyrus. I'm like, this shit is annoying, and it's everything I hate. But at the same time,
at least it's some life.
At least it's like it's trying to be funny, and on some level, I think by the second half, maybe it just wore me down, where I was like more open to the Stifler stuff, where I'm like, all right, at least he's providing some comedy, because the rest of these guys are just here.
And I think the reason why we all like the Stifler bits is because that is kind of like the one memorable thing about that first movie is his crazy hijinks. More memorable than the other characters in the movie, because I was like sitting there going, wow, you know what? When I saw American Pie, I was like, yeah, it was funny, but I didn't give a shit about any of those characters after it. I mean, I wasn't racing to go see American Pie 2 or 3. I didn't see
exactly call for
either
a
of those.
sequel,
No, and I'm just like, wow, you know what? Out of all those movies, the one guy that you do recognize is Stifler, because he is the same Stifler character. I mean, he is who he is, and you can't help but like go, that's the one guy that I remembered, because he is who he is, and he's very proud of it, and he's hilarious, and that was the only guy I could like gravitate to.
But you know what? The only one they developed in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only one that they developed in the movie, there was as much as I'm like, I don't hate Jason Biggs, but I'm not particularly fond of him. But whenever him and Eugene Levy, because he plays Jim's father, I thought those were nice moments, because I'm not ruining anything here.
Eugene Levy makes those moments nice, because Jason Biggs is doing that same thing, like, I can't talk.
I'm so embarrassed.
No matter what subject you bring up, I'm too embarrassed to say. And even Eugene Levy even calls him out on it. It's like, well, if you're so embarrassed, why you even bring it up in the first place?
But what they do here is that Jim's mother, Eugene Levy's wife in the movie, is dead.
Right.
She just said, I'm coming back for that fucking film. In real life, that's what the actress said, but in the movie they wrote as she died.
I don't even remember her in the other movies.
Me either.
Did they ever show us his mom? I thought he was grown out of a
I'm telling
test
you,
tube.
she just said, I'm not doing this shit. That's what that actress said. I'm busy. I got to mop my floor, okay? I'm not coming back for this film. I don't know why she said no, but for some reason she's not.
Disappeared in Eugene Levy's eyebrow.
I know.
Never to be seen again.
Cole was talking about those are caterpillars. Those are panthers he's got over his eyes.
It was like Amazonian caterpillar. Those are from the
Those are like
world.
like Brillo pads.
I was waiting for like
poisonous spine.
Yeah, I was waiting for the caterpillar to burst out of the cocoons and fly off his face. Those things
turn
are so
into
big.
Mothra.
Yeah. Godzilla versus Eugene Levy's face. Yeah. But that character that he plays, Eugene Levy, as Jim's dad, the wife is dead in the movie, and so there are moments where he's so good, you kind of feel for him, and him and Jason Biggs are sitting up there talking about how he should go out and start dating again. And I like those moments.
Do you think maybe it's time for you to meet someone else? Dad, it's okay. What you're going through is perfectly natural. There are services out there.
Services?
Yeah.
Like what? A happy ending?
What's that?
Because I won't go there.
Oh my God!
I don't need that. I don't need that kind of massage.
That's not what I was.
Jim.
Why do you even know
what?
about
It's
that?
dangerous.
Yeah.
And you can pick things up. You don't even want to know what you can pick up. Talk to your Uncle Mort.
I'd rather not.
He was in the hospital for 2
That's
weeks.
disgusting.
But whenever you see Stifler starting to hang out with Eugene Levy and you see how they're really, out of all the people in the movie, these are the two sympathetic characters. The guy who played like a supporting role in the molester in this series.
That's the funniest scene in the whole
really
film. It's when the two of them are together partying, and it's so bizarre. It's the one thing that we haven't seen yet from the American Pie films. Like, really? All right,
Yeah,
I kind of want to see how this plays out.
Oh yeah, no, Stifler's such an asshole. That's the only one who has something to really learn. You know?
Stifler's like the guy who is like, he was like the last gunman, and he still thinks it's the Wild West out there, but the rest of the world has moved the fuck on, and he's still there like trying to like find the OK Corral. Like, what the hell? And that's why I love that movie. I mean, I have a great friend that reminds me so much of Stifler, to where, when you see him on screen, it's like, man, that guy's annoying. But there's a part where I'm like, man, but I love that fucking guy. You know, he is who he is, and he's proud of it.
It's a terrible thing to fuck a pie. Take away everything that pie has, everything it's ever gonna have.
No, that is true.
I like him watching him, but if I knew that guy in real life, I would distance myself from him.
No. Well, you know, when you sympathize, because there are parts when you actually kind of sympathize with Stifler. I mean, it just reminded me of my buddy.
Well, he's so socially retarded. I mean, he's just like Channing Tatum in 21 Jump Street, which is why I like that movie.
Right.
He's the guy that was really popular at one time who still thinks what was popular back then is popular today. Except for Channing Tatum is just kind of a relic of his age. Stifler is a danger. You know, Stifler somebody should put him away before he ends up
Hey, somebody needs to put him in a museum.
That's right. He belongs in a museum.
That's right.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. John Cho comes in for spots here and there where he's actually really funny. There's a part where he catches Jason Biggs in a really awkward position and just won't. He's too stupid to like leave or ride away. You know, his conversation, his facial expressions. I've always thought John Cho was funny in these small roles that he does that are very comedic.
He is, but he feels really forced and crowbarred in here. I mean, it's all leading up. You know, like early on, they say something about his character, and you're like, okay, well, that's going to be his little mini arc. And when it comes together, it's like, that was awkward.
Well,
but every character from the first American Pie movie, I mean, every single one shows up, like, just sticks their head in sideways. They practically photobomb the movie. Shannon Elizabeth's like, I'm still Shannon Elizabeth, and that's it.
I was amazed. I was like, okay, out of all the girls who've, you know, as far as like how they've aged, I was like, wow, she's aged the best. I mean,
if there's anyone missing, and there may be, it's probably because Natasha Lyonne ate them.
I was like, whoa, who the fuck?
Oh, this is y'all first time to see her since then?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen her in stuff since I wasn't shocked.
What did you see her in? A McDonald's?
I know. I was like, wait, I didn't know Kevin James was in the movie.
Her head got huge.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell her she was fat because her head was in the way of her body.
I know.
I mean, Sarah, am I wrong? I mean, when she came up, I was like, wow.
I thought Kevin James popped in the movie with a wig. I was like, what?
We'll be able to pop a Woody watching Slums of Beverly Hills again.
Did Tara Reid show up in the movie?
She was, she was
one of the main characters.
I know I heard her voice, but every time I looked at the screen, all I kept see was a blur because there was so much soft focus. I was like, God damn, I couldn't even make out where her eyes
But
are.
I thought the worst was, that's true.
Having a severe allergy attack.
She wasn't
I was
a
like,
blur.
how bad does she look that they got to smear Vaseline and a burlap sack and shoot her from across the street?
Hey, Will Ruff.
That's very true.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I thought
she was glowing like an elf in Narnia.
I honestly thought they should have done that with what's her name?
Mina Savari?
Oh yeah, dude.
I didn't think she looked so bad.
I thought she did. Man.
She didn't look bad, but she aged.
Yeah, she aged. But I didn't think she looked
Because
bad.
we all remember her from
American Beauty.
American Beauty.
yeah.
And now she's a 30-year-old, so she's got some tiny little wrinkles, and her face isn't framed exactly the same. She still looked good to me.
Yeah,
She's
I think she's aging gracefully.
She's just not that perfect little girl.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like when you see Shannon Elizabeth and you transport it back 13 years ago.
But I kept wondering if that was a wig she was wearing. Her hair. I kept thinking, is that wig about to fall off or what?
It was that same wig that David Bowie had in Labyrinth. That he gave to her. It was like, man, it did. It looked like that. It looked like somebody just set a bowl on
It
her
really
head or
did,
something.
yeah.
Looked like Lego hair.
So shit.
Almost anytime you see those severe bangs like that. It's a wig.
What did she just have cancer or something? Did she go through chemo?
I don't know,
She's
man.
on some other show or something.
Maybe she cut her hair for something else, and she was like, "Hey, we need you with the long hair."
I remember there was a bunch of pictures that came out where she did shave. She pretty much shaved her head. Where I was like, "Oh man, she looks like a boy."
Well, she was in American Horror Story earlier this year, and she looked fine.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Well, all I got
who was really hot was the girl from 30 Rock who plays the secretary on there. What's her name? Katrina Bowden or something like that.
Yeah, I
can't remember her name, but she plays Chris Klein's character's girlfriend in LA, who's just way too young for him, and all LA, like she's dropping X at like at parties.
Fucking nympho.
She's total nympho.
I didn't see the problem with her.
No,
she's a knockout.
Yeah, that was the one storyline that didn't make any kind of goddamn sense to me. Like you're pining over fucking that chick with the wig. I don't get it.
All I got to say is if they make another American Pie movie, Jennifer Coolidge is gonna have some company because these girls are catching up to her fast. I don't know what kind of life these kids have led, man. I mean, because Jason Biggs, he's always had a boyish face. He's all right. Like I said, Chris Klein, he's taking care of himself. Sean William Scott always he looked like he was 30 when he was in the first American Pie movie.
He really does.
So he's finally caught up with himself. Everybody else is looking kind of hard. But man, I really don't think that. I don't think that this movie is ever worth my time again. I floated between being angry until Sean William Scott and Eugene Levy would come on. I'd be like, okay, I'm all right now. Because this film, speaking of John Cho, there's also a cameo in here by Neil Patrick Harris, and you're wondering, well, what are these two guys doing in this movie? And then we were just talking about this before we recorded. The guys who recorded this, the guys who directed this are the guys who did the Harold and Kumar movies.
Yeah.
All of them.
They did all three movies?
I think they did all of them, yeah.
All of them.
John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg.
Wow, okay.
You should be a dishwasher with that name.
Are you telling me that is kind of really disappointing? I mean,
it's not. You know what? It's not. It's just. It's only disappointing to me in that I recognize that, and I thought, man, even as risque and dirty the last movies were, this just seems childish. And the acting is so bad by these people, man. Almost everybody.
Improved. And Chris Klein's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's just, there was a point I was like, try and listen to the lines he's saying as if you were reading them on the script in front of you at the same time and go, and that just really brings home like the decision for him to say things the way that he does. I'm like, seriously? I kept say this as bad as you can, Klein.
I kept feeling that with Allison Hannigan. I was just like, every time she was on screen or saying something, I'm like, wow, you just seem like you just really don't want to be
well,
here.
She probably didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if she was under contract.
Well, I'm sorry, but Chris Klein, that was the one motherfucker I was waiting for just to go crazy. Where it's like I was waiting for him just to have a comment, and I really fucking bet you. I was ready. I was wanting him to just become a complete train wreck throughout the.
Well, in
entire
this
movie.
film, you could tell that he was coming. He's coming down off that coke addiction. Like he's not fully done yet. He's still, he needs a whole other movie.
Well, I was wondering if rehab happened while they were filming. Like they filmed all the crazy shit first, and then he needed help. The cast told him, "Look, dude, you're our old friend.
That was
you
his
need
story
help."
arc. He's living out in L.A. You saw how he was on his broadcast, keep on playing, player. to where okay, I got the big house. I got the girlfriend who sleeps with celebrities when I'm not home.
But I'm dissatisfied.
It's time to chill out from all that.
And I'm sure the writers are like, okay, how are we going to make this motherfucker make sense? As far as what can he play right now?
I mean,
this movie needed some magical Negroes to come in and show them the way to do it.
The only one that you were unclear about was Finch, and then his answer was so disappointing. You're like, really? But that was the one guy from the first movie you thought would be the coolest guy, in the future, who deserved to be that guy.
Well,
and just okay, really, that's what you want to do? Is the one thing I was hoping for was some real payoff there.
Well, and the problem with that, because they got 18 subplots going on, it's there's that point 90 minutes in, you realize shit, there's still 9 subplots that need to be resolved, and then they do within the next 25 minutes. But then they wrap him up so quickly and neatly. It's that didn't even feel like a resolution.
It's terrible,
why was that even
man.
A problem?
You know what it felt like? It felt like an American Pie movie. That's what it felt like.
I'm gonna go and get my rating. This is directed so badly. I mean, they got moments where guys are walking down the street. It's almost like they're reading a teleprompter. They got one guy saying, yeah, I don't even know if my wife wants to have sex with me. And then somebody behind them says, yeah, but at least you're not in my situation. It's like, man, these scenes are so stiff, man. I mean, wow, these are like kids in their first elementary school play. and you're right, Cyrus, the way they crowbar all these characters in. I mean, there's one, poor Tara Reid, they don't even have a way to fit her in the movie. She's literally walking down the parking lot for no reason. And Chris Klein's like, oh, hey, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
Like, man, this is awful. Really, if it weren't for what is his name? Sean William Scott and Eugene Levy, this movie would be a fuck you. And it's barely just rising above some old bullshit. If in the second half they didn't amuse me with certain true arcs where characters actually had something to do as far as growing in the movie, I would absolutely, it would be probably the worst movie I'd seen this year, but it somehow miraculously redeemed itself near the end, so I'm giving it a very low rental.
Yeah, I can't help but think that there is an interesting story to be told of the idea of the 13-year reunion with all these characters if they had had a halfway decent writer coming in trying to do that, to make it even mildly realistic in amongst the funny, but there's not. And it's just another American Pie film, and at best, you get to see Eugene Levy get drunk. And that's really about the best thing I can think of to say about this. I mean, there's a sequence in here where, like, and I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil this, but because who cares? Jason Biggs is dealing with his problem that, me and the wife, we're not having sex anymore. And he has the talk with his dad, and it wrapped up, well, son, and I am not kidding, this is the resolution to his problem. Sometimes after you have a kid, you think of yourselves as parents, but you have to remember that you're also a husband and wife and think about things sometimes that way, and it'll all come together. And that's the solution to the problem. And that's the level of writing we've got through this whole movie.
Yeah.
It's just ass stupid, and it is some old bullshit.
It's funny. I thought that was one of the better moments because they didn't try to end it with a gross out joke. It's like, oh, you had something genuine in here, like the one little bud growing in a pile of shit. Corey, I'm pretty much right there with you. Where the first half, I'm like, this is some old bullshit edging toward a fuck you, and somehow when I was just like, it's just not going to get any better. It somehow got tolerable. There were places where I laughed. I went from just a chuckle every 15 minutes to okay, there's some stuff I'm genuinely enjoying here. And it was Stifler or Eugene Levy, and especially Eugene Levy, because I liked every moment that he came on and him getting drunk. I was like, this is all good stuff. The two of them together, great. Everything else, forget about it. And even the things where I'm trying to just lower my expectations and just go with it. All the stuff with Jason Biggs and Allison Hannigan, I thought just dragged it way down every single time. But ultimately, I just came right where you were. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give this a low rental because, it is as bad as it is. It follows the formula of an American Pie. I mean, it is what it's supposed to be. If you like that kind of shit, fine, knock yourselves out. It's not for me, but yeah, low rental.
Oh well, you guys pretty much said it all. I mean, I can't really say anything really that I really liked about it besides the fucking 18-year-old naked chick and Stifler and the dad, Eugene Levy. Because yeah, I mean, like I said, my biggest problem is that, I've never had an investment in this movie series. So it's not really catering towards me. I'm not its audience, because I'm like, I didn't think those guys were all that interesting to begin with. So what do why do I care about a fucking class reunion with them? It's like, who in this room has ever wanted to go to their fucking class reunion to begin with? And I missed mine so I can go to fucking the American Pie one? Really? Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. What world am I in? But I mean, it did have its moments. I honestly liked that they actually got real where they were like, man, look at all this 18-year-old pussy running around. Fuck, we're old. I mean, I was like, okay, now you're speaking some truth there. It's like, man, do we used to be that lame? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a rental. I think if you are a fan of the series, it's a nice bookend. But to anybody else, I mean, I honestly thought, when they started the movie, they had they tried to do some kind of a typical American Pie shit to where that's about as extreme as it got, which is probably why it was so ridiculous and so stupid. And after that, they really toned it down to where I was like, okay, that seems like a bigger mistake because now it's like, okay, there's nothing really going on as far as the laughs here. There's no gross out humor. There wasn't much of anything, but I was finding myself missing that. I was like, please. And hearing that it's the Harold and Kumar guys, where I actually loved the first Harold Kumar and I loved the last one, the Christmas one. I was like, really? Those guys couldn't get a little bit more inventive or crazy with the situations, the scenarios here, to where it just seems like a very mediocre American Pie movie. But like I said, it's a rental.
They were able to focus more in Harold and Kumar because it's really just
two characters,
the primary characters. Whereas this, they've got umpteen billion stories they're expected to play out. There's only so much you can do. I will say this about this movie. I kind of want to see one more. I do. One more with the cast, most of the cast returning. American Funeral. Come on, now you know you want to see it.
I was waiting on a pun, but I don't know if you're joking now, but I really want to see that.
I kind of want to
see that. That's a scary thought because the way this movie ended, it made me seem like it made it seem like they're about to do 3 more of these motherfuckers, and I'm like, no.
But it's hilarious. And they're like, you know what, guys? We shouldn't wait for reunions. We should get together and do this every year.
Every year.
I'll be goddamn.
I will not be there.
I was sitting next to Leon when they said that, and I shuddered. It started him laughing.
It'll be an American Funeral, all right. I'll be killing these producers. Make a movie about that.
Were we just as obnoxious as these kids back in the day?
No, our generation was definitely more mature.
What are you doing? I'm gonna throw up. You know, Dad, it's been 3 years. Think maybe it's time for you to get back out there?
Who might you be?
I'm Stifler's mom.
Oh, I'm Jim's dad.
American Reunion. I have not had a night like that since the 70s.
Don't need this.
You'd be surprised what you can do with a well-placed thumb.